Cathy, welcome to the Wind Tunnel. I want to start right off because we talked about in our introduction that for more than 2 decades, you've been the general manager at South Boston, and yet your racing heritage stretches far further back.
That's true, Jack. That's been doing this for a long, long time. Ever since I was a little girl, used to come to South Boston and watch the races. And then, of course, I married in 72, I married my husband, which was crew chief, and he was in racing at the time. His brother drove the race car. And then my son I had Chris Rice, my son. I used to bring him to the racetracks when he was actually, I was carrying him, to be honest with you. And our family is just a racing family, been that way for 30 plus years.
I've always believed that if someone on the staff of a racetrack, especially a short track, has been there and done that, and what I'm talking about inside a race car or as a mechanic, it gives a different perspective to how to operate the track. Do you agree?
I agree with you 100%. As I tell the competitors, I've been on that side. I know what it costs. I know how hard it is. And in the short tracks, they do it. Most of them do it for a hobby. They do not do this to make a living with. And two, my husband builds a race car, so I know that side of it as well. And it was and I know both sides. I know of course, the operational side now, because I've been here for so long, and I knew the competition side, being with Jeff Burton, Elliott Sadler, and Hermie Sadler, and some of the others that I've actually went out and helped score. I used to do timing and scoring. That's when I first started, and I absolutely loved it.
All right. I need to know, where did the fried bologna sandwich come from?
The fried bologna sandwich came from Elliott Sadler. And the ones that know Elliott calls him Elliott Sadler. He actually lived with me. I feel like I'm one of his moms. And he came to the racetrack growing up and I think he eats 17, 16 or so bologna burgers that day. In one day, he ate that many. How in this world that child didn't get sick, I'll never know. But I guess that's our famous bologna burger. It's good for you.
All right. 2020 was not good to any of the Advanced Auto Parts weekly series tracks in NASCAR. You were forced, as the general manager of South Boston, to shutter your racetrack. How difficult was that?
It was devastating. It really was. We got calls from our competitors, our fans wanting to come and race, wanted to come see a race so bad. And we kept hoping. Every month we would hope our governor would lift the restrictions. And of course, he never did for that 2020 year. So we had no choice. And to protect everyone and us as well, we decided of course, Pocono Raceway owns us, Nick Igdalski and the Mattioli family. We all decided, well, it's nothing else to do, but we'll just start looking at 2021. And but it was very heartbreaking. It was so many people that would come by and take pictures and stand outside and they would say, I wish we could race. I wish we could race, but there was no chance we didn't want to put anybody in that predicament of being sick or anything like that. And we've been very lucky here in South Boston.
So how did you maintain contact with two of the most important facets of short track racing? A, the competitors, and even more importantly, B, the racing fans.
Well, what we did, of course, we would reach out to them. I worked from home for about 3 months because I closed the office, and we came back in May or June, and we would reach out to our competitors. We actually sent them gift certificate to come and race, practice with us in 2021. We also offered anything that was spent in 2020. Such as tickets or practices or anything like that, we would honor that in 2021. Sponsorships, we just rolled over into 2021. And a lot of our sponsors are still undecided about coming back this year, but has asked, can we just roll it over in 2022? And of course they can. We're here to help them just like they do help us.
Now you opened up Twin 75s, and we visited with Peyton Sellers a while back here on the Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap segment of our Wind Tunnel broadcast. And he talked about the fact that, as hard as it was to finish second in the national championship without running at South Boston, how big was it to open up and have the late models and the rest of your divisions show up on that Twin 25 weekend?
Oh, it was wonderful. You could not imagine the smile on people's face when they walked through the gates, the competitors as well as the fans. They were all, and Jack, they really went by the guidelines. I mean, they would wear their mask and stay social distance. And, it was just wonderful how the fans and the competitors worked with us. And I had a call from H.C. Sellers, which is Peyton's brother, crew chief. And he said, you don't know how good it feels to turn right coming into South Boston Speedway. Last year, going by the track, I wanted to turn in so bad and, and race there. So things like that just really make you feel like you've done something right. And, we're back on track. We've got a race this weekend. Looking forward to that. And everything seems to be going very well.
In my years as a short track promoter, it was back in what we call the heyday of modifieds, where basically all you had to do is cook the hot dogs, open up the pit area, open up the grandstands, and the cars and the drivers would bring the fans. I'm sure that's what you experienced when you first started in this business, but it is changed so much. There's maintenance, what I call on the inside of the racing fence, and then creativity on the outside where the fans sit. Do you agree with me there?
I do. And, our fans love twin races. And I think our competitors really like the twin races because it gives an opportunity. If something happens in the first race, they can fix it for the second race. And, they all work together and to mirror what you just said, as far as the families following the competitors, we pull within 100-mile radius on our weekly races, and they are fans, they're friends, family, and it's a family sport. I mean, it has grown to be a family sport, and you see so many children come out. And we'll have the Easter Bunny this weekend. Of course, we're going to kind of play that a little low, and we're going to hand out Easter eggs. Our bunny is just going to hand it to them instead of, the contact with people and all right now. So, but yes, I agree with you.
When I introduced you, I warned everybody not to say the R word, retirement, in your presence, but you are stepping back. And I wonder, how big a change is that going to be for you?
It's going to be an extremely big change. I think about it every day, Jack. I cry a little bit, then I'm happy. And, it's going to be a change. Like I told Nick, I said, Nick, I'll always be here. This is my home. This is where I was born and raised. And I'll always be here at this track. And he's always said, you're going to be part of that track as you always will be. And then just a couple of weeks ago, I actually got the Lifetime Achievement Award from our Chamber of Commerce. And I was lost for words, and I'm never lost for words. I told him it was just, I didn't even know what to say, but to thank the community and all. But I'm just going to step back a little bit. I've got a lovely couple that has joined our forces, Chase and Carly Brashears, and I know they'll do a great job. They love the sport, and I hope they will take my legacy and learn and just take it and use it as the years go on. But I'll still be around. I'll do some consulting with them and hopefully still be a part of the track. I feel sure I will. And I'm looking forward to it. I'll get to go with Chris a little bit more and bug him a little bit.
Listen, you've lived through a number of different corporations, companies that have branded the weekly series, and yet the advanced auto parts program that was launched 1 year ago in the midst of a pandemic seems to be more focused on creating a relationship between the short track, their outlets locally, and they back it up with a pretty sizable cash program. I know your racetrack is one of the 22 that is hoping that the fans in advancemytrack.com vote early and vote often so that you can bring 50K to South Boston Speedway.
Oh, yes, that would be wonderful. We could take that, especially after being off a year with no income at all. But we did still keep payroll going, and thanks to, like I said, the Mattioli family and Nick. But to win that would be such an honor, and I'm certainly hoping. I want people to go out. I think you can vote 3 times a day, is what I'm understanding, and people will go out and vote for us. And I know there are other tracks that deserve just as much as we do, but of course, I'm going to say South Boston Speedway deserves it more. And I hope we do get that 50K, and it would be really nice to do some more upgrades here.
Listen, I totally understand why you're endorsing the place that you've spent so many years at. Before I let you go, give me a good story about Chris Rice, your son. I've interviewed him a number of times, and he has such a warped sense of humor. And yet, when it counts, when he's on the box, he can calm a driver down. He makes some pretty good calls. How proud of you are of him? But more importantly, I need to know something that I can use against him when I talk to him again.
I'll tell you what Wayne Alton tells him every time he has to bring him to the truck. He says, if you don't behave, I'm calling your mama. But no, I think one of the things that probably a lot of people don't know is they used to call him in school, they would call him PJ, Precious Jelly. And that's what it stood for. And he was large for his age. And then, of course, he's a health freak now. He runs and works out and all that. But they would call him that. And he actually, at the Halifax County Fair, he actually done the womanless interview. And they would dress up. He had on his little skimpy bathing suit and everything. And, of course, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he either won or come in second place. But you can always say, I bet you if you called him PJ, he would know exactly where you were coming from. And he's going to say, where did you hear that?
Listen, PJ, Precious Jelly, I'm going to make sure that at least my former partner, AJ Allmendinger, is given that information. Kathy, yes, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. Congratulations. You are an inspiration to other promoters. And I've said this when I've given speeches. There was a period of time where you were called a track operator. But now in this 21st century, we're back to being track promoters.
That's great. That's wonderful. And Jack, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really do love it. And I hope to talk to you again later down the road. And, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here.
Thanks so much. We'll be back with more of Jack Arut's Wind Tunnel right after this.